Left jobless by COVID-19. Now displaced by Soufriere. Gabby loses hope. Well, Gabby, you were not left jobless by COVID-19. You were left jobless by your government. And in the case of Soufriere, I don't know, but it's just a theory. But in my opinion, Soufriere was highly manufactured. Highly likely that it was manufactured. In any case, scores of people standing outside Western Union on Lower Bay Street, Kingston, St. Vincent on Saturday, April 17th. Shit on purpose. Like most Vincentians, Gabby is struggling to keep her sanity, having lost her job to the COVID-19 pandemic, her home to the recent volcanic eruptions that have further upended life on the island. Most days, Gabby feels she is being swallowed by the abyss of despair, having lost everything. And like many of her fellow countrymen, living on the brink day to day, moment to moment, her greatest need may strike most as odd. Plenty of prayers on a plan. The 37-year-old woman told Loop News when asked about her most urgent needs. With the island blanketed by ash, Gabby is among thousands of people who had to be evacuated from their homes and are now being housed at government-run shelters and seeking refuge by family and friends in safe zones. It's a good thing to note that these are government-run shelters, and we know that the agenda is to persuade these evacuees to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Volcano eruptions, which started on Friday, April 9th, pose problems the country hasn't faced since the last eruption in 1979. Depleted water supply and claims of food shortages, among other things. As the situation on the island gets desperate, loved ones abroad are sending money to help their stricken relatives back home. This has led to another complaint in order along lines at the Western Union and MoneyGram outlets. Gabby, who was among numerous Vincentians stuck in a stubborn line at the Western Union outlet at Lower Bay Street on Saturday, April 17th, shared her story with Loop News. She reluctantly left her rented home in Oya to beg lodging with friends 2 days after the volcano erupted. Quote, "Plenty of people judging me. They're saying I was foolish to wait so long to leave. They're probably right in a way. But it is who in the fire does feel the heat. You know how hard I had to work to gather the little things I have? I come from nothing. I start at -0, but over the years, I worked hard. I still don't have a lot, but the little I have is mine. Now it's like I am right back where I started, with 0. I have nothing," she told Loop News. Long lines, blah blah blah. Gabby said she knew that staying in her rented home long after the evacuation order was issued may not have been the best decision. But she said she felt like she was suffocating, caught between a rock and a hard place. And we know what that rock and that hard place is. The rock is the volcano, And the hard place is being persuaded to get the vaccine. And who put her and all these other people in this situation? The government. And other governments as well, because there were governments, the cruise ships, were all asking these people to get vaccinated if they want to be evacuated or if they want to come in the shelter. They were being persuaded to get the vaccine. And it's only because of the backlash that gathered. And I'm happy that happened, that the news got out and all over the world. And I'm happy that people reacted and that they know that this is wrong. And I'm happy that it got backlash. I knew that if I left, I was basically forfeiting everything. I really don't have much, but the things I have, I sweat and bled for. When they say I had to leave, I was only half joking when I said they will have to carry out my body. You have to understand, leaving meant I was back at zero. I don't know if I have the energy to rebuild everything I had lost. Gabby said she was employed as an office manager at a supermarket on the island. While the job didn't pay much, she said she led a simple life and was content. The job title sounds fancy, but I did a little of everything. Filing, cleaning, just making sure everything was in order. It wasn't much, but I don't need much. I could pay my rent and eat. And ever so often I could buy a little something nice for myself, so it was good. 6 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, Gabby lost her job. Because of the government's shutting down everything. People need to redirect their anger at these governments for their actions. Because the governments are getting money, as we saw, because of the incident in Belarus. They're getting money from the World Bank and the IMF to shut down their countries. And that means shutting down the businesses and employing these public health measures. People lose jobs. People lose their livelihoods. And it's not because of COVID-19. Because there are some countries that have not shut down, not wearing the mask, or lockdowns, or social distance, or doing any of this nonsense. And their economies are healthy and booming. But we here in the Caribbean, I think because the governments here in the Caribbean feel that because we're so small, we can't oppose the orders or recommendations, quote unquote, of the WHO and PAHO and the IMF and the World Bank because we receive fundings from these NGOs. And I think they believe that if they go against the grain, it's going to be hard. And that is true. It's going to be hard, but you're going to betray your people for funding. I mean, if the people found out that your funding was cut because you didn't want to shut down the businesses and lock people inside their homes and force vaccinate them and put masks on their faces, the people would stand beside you. They would back you up. But when you're doing these things, who's gonna have faith in you? Nobody. And they've sold us, they've sold their souls, and they've sold us in the process. They said with COVID and all that it was hard to pay me, so they didn't need me anymore. I have a family, but everybody has their own struggles too. Having lost her only source of income, but still needed to pay bills, Gabby said she started to offer her services as a cleaner for some of the older people in the area. Excuse me. Quote, I help out around the house and run little errands, things like that. It was hard, but I settled into a little routine again, so it was good. But then this volcano. It's a coincidence, right? When the economy is down and it's worst, all of a sudden, something bad happens. I mean, they say there's a saying that what could go wrong will go wrong, but it's too coincidental, man. I don't really believe in coincidences, man. These things are planned. These people can control the weather. I think creating an earthquake to offset the volcano is a small task, these people. Anyhow, I don't know. I really don't know what the situation will be when this thing is finished. If it ever finish. Those words hit home, boy. If it ever finish. I gotta go with her on this one. I don't think it will ever finish. Until we finish it. At the Western Union on Lower Broad Street, on Lower Bay Street, it was Gabby's third attempt to collect money sent to her by her sibling in the US. It hurt me to ask because I know things tight with him. It really hurt me because he has 3 children and 1 on the way, and if you squeeze too hard in America, you have to pay. If you sneeze too hard in America, you have to pay. It hurt me to ask, but Gabby said the money was sent on Tuesday. I didn't know things were so bad, so I come down the road at about 10 o'clock. The line was so long. I stayed about 45 minutes and barely moved. I came back down later and it was the same thing. Well, you see what happened in here today, she said, referring to the hefty line. I'm not leaving without the money today, so I have to wait. Gabby said she cried every day since the volcano erupted. When asked why, she explained that even at her lowest, she'd always been able to hold on to some semblance of hope because there were many elements that she could control. But with the changes to the landscape caused by the erupting volcano, coupled with the losses she had suffered because COVID-19 pandemic, she feels like she has no control. That's where they want us. They want us to feel powerless. And it's working. And it's hard not to. Just looking around and seeing what's happening. It's hard not to. Quote, I'm staying with friends. It could be worse because I could be in a shelter surrounded by strangers, but staying with friends isn't easy either. See me and come live with me is really 2 different things. It's not right. I'm in their space. Everybody trying to make sure food doesn't run out and water. That's why I have to stay in the line until I get the money. Don't want to take advantage, They're giving me a roof over my head, so I want to contribute how I can. Said Gabby, who admitted that every day is a struggle to keep her head above water. Look at this. It's right next door, people. This is happening. And it irks me to hear people in Barbados talking about they're keeping them people in the same visit in their prayers and we gotta stick together and all this Freaking, it sounds good, sounds nice, but then when you realize what's really happening, I mean, it just sounds like a lot of hypocrites and a lot of fake people spouting nonsense because it makes them look like good people. They don't really care. Governments don't really care. They were asking these people, or they were telling these people to get vaccinated if they want to be evacuated. Or if you want to come in the shelter, you got to take a test. Does that sound like we Caribbean people should be furious at these governments for asking such things of people that are in such hard times? Should be furious. And then when you hear people talking about how these the Vincentians should take the vaccine and and get evacuated and all this stuff. I mean, like, do you really care about these people, or are you just saying that you care about them because you want to sound like a good person? I mean, pretending to be a good person and being a good person are two different things, and I don't think people know the difference or can tell the difference. If we really care about this, we should be fighting back against all this nonsense, man. This COVID-19 nonsense. We should be fighting back against this to prevent more stories like this. The COVID-19 pandemic didn't take this woman's job away. It was the government. If the volcano is manufactured or not, it's still being used as a means to an end. They're taking advantage of us in crisis. They're manufacturing crisis to take advantage of us. If you really care about these people, yes, pray for them by all means. Do whatever you can. But also realize that it's not going to be any good if we don't fight back against the bigger agenda. Can't let them force vaccinate us and lock us down and curfews and masks. All that stuff, we gotta stop that. We stop that, we stop this. We have to deal with the cause and not just the symptoms.